Welcome aboard. We're talking brake controllers. We have Steve Moore from REDARC has kindly joined us. Thanks for coming along, mate.
Thank you.
Chris Blakemore and myself, Andrew Kennedy. I'm going to tell you a little story.
Uh-oh.
Mate, I'm going to... What?
Oh.
You don't like my stories? My story is coming over a hill, wind, turning a corner and going 100 kilometres an hour. They all don't kind of work well together. No. The back end started to sway. Luckily, I had another brand before I had this one, but I found it really annoying. I kept calm, peace of mind, and I knew how to slow my Caravan down to pull me into line, which was great. But I had to figure out where the heck it was, or remember where it was, and which slide, because it had 2 slides on it. So which do I adjust?
Complex, yes.
I know. So, but I did it, and then of course my wife was yelling and screaming next to me, as I was just holding on, and I got out of it. In the old days, we were taught to pull out of it and pull ourselves out of it. It's not necessarily the case. You have to brake your Caravan to pull your tow vehicle into position.
Like an anchor, essentially.
Yeah.
If you were to physically throw an anchor out the back, it's going to have a similar effect.
Correct, yeah. Put some tension between your vehicle and the tow vehicle.
Okay. I'm just going to get that closer to you, buddy. Yeah, that's it. Try that.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. However, things have progressed, yeah? And now, press of a button.
Yeah, exactly right.
And it's a very small device. I mean, because I was a bit like yourself, Andrew, where when we started out, it was the big black box under the dash, and you'd knock your knees on it every time you got into the vehicle.
Continually, yeah.
And so, I actually ripped that out, and because the wiring configuration's the same, it has been for how many years?
It's a universal wiring, yes.
All of a sudden I could put the...
Bit of a plug-and-play thing,
Put that. I've since actually upgraded to the new version as well,
the
Towpro Elite, and it's just so much better.
Yeah, correct. So, gone are the days of banging your knees on the box as you get in there. Particularly, every new vehicle these days is going to have low-level airbags.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You can't be screwing anything to those, or it's going to fire straight into your person there.
So you guys are the technical gurus. Tell me, how does a brake controller actually work?
So a brake controller is powered from the vehicle's battery system, so it gets its 12-volt feed from there. And it has a lead coming out to the trailer trailer connector, which is attached to your trailer brakes on the Caravan. Sorry. Yes. Yep. It gets a 12-volt trigger from the brakes. When the brakes are depressed, it'll send a signal, which is the same signal essentially that turns on your brake lights to let everyone know that you're coming to a stop. From there, it'll, depending on how you've set the unit, apply a certain amount of braking force or voltage and current down to the brake coils to pull the brakes on to stop you up.
You just said depending on how you set the unit. Why is there different ways of setting it?
Certainly. There's been a fair progression from the original REDARC brake controller that we made, which was a fairly agricultural piece of equipment, a square box about yay big, with a dial for gain and also a button for our override, like you said before. From there, they were only a fixed output unit. Wherever you set that dial, think of it as a volume knob on your stereo or your car radio. You want it louder, you want more brakes, you turn it up. You want less, you turn it down.
Right.
It was as simple as that with the original REDARCs. So there was no proportional or no braking difference from how fast you were going. If you were doing 100, you had it set to 5 or 6, and you pulled into a town, you might want to turn that down because you're obviously going a lot slower.
Yeah. It can be too strong when you're going that little bit too slow in those older type versions.
In the older type, yeah.
What about going on dirt compared to bitumen? Is there a difference there that it should be set at or not?
There can be, because there's not the actual resistance of the ground under you on the dirt. So your trailer might happily skid along the top with the brakes locking up if you've set it to a highway situation. That's with the older type anyway.
Okay. And then it progressed into, I guess, more of a timing function, wasn't it? The longer you held your foot on the brakes, it sort of started to work out, well, hold on, you actually need a bit more performance. And there's some or other models out there that sort of work like that.
Some of those that would do that, yes. So the original brake controller that sat on your dash, that was just a straight output, similar to a relay would give you. But even from that point, we went from the box up to the remote head, because we realised even a box so small was a drama. So we essentially just made the same style brake controller with a head remote from the body, so you can put it up on the dash away from any knees and things like that.
Knees and airbags.
Airbags in particular, yeah, is a major thing these days. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
I bought my wife a new Corolla, had 12 airbags.
Yeah, they're going to be
They were
expensive to replace. If they-
Unbelievable. Yeah, so knee airbags pretty much took out the whole black box scenario.
Yes.
Who has got a brake controller in their vehicle? Okay.
Yep.
So
Got a few.
if you're pulling a Caravan with electric brakes, anything over 750 kilos, you have to have electronic or electric. You have to have brakes. Full stop.
Over 750, that's
Yeah.
right. Yep.
But who tests the brake controller? For instance, if you're in your Caravan for a couple of weeks and you hook up and you just drive down the road, you expect it to work. Who tests it when they drive out of the Caravan? You test it, do you, son? All right, young man up there tests it. He tells his dad, "Hey, Dad, test the brake controller. Good on you."
Absolutely.
But yeah, does anyone do that? No, you don't. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's really important to do that,
Yeah.
just to make sure it's going to work. Because we tend to buy these things and set and forget, but not
test.
As soon as you start rolling down that driveway, you should be touching that manual control and making sure it's going to actually activate, to make sure your connections are correct, all that sort of stuff, as well as the fact that your brakes are adjusted up correctly and are working.
We had a towing instructor in here earlier, and he actually said every trip, every time you take off, you should just make sure and test and maybe even recalibrate slightly. But do you need to with the Elite version?
Well, every brake you might want to just check in case you might have had an incident previously where you've applied the brakes a lot of times and the brakes have slightly adjusted themselves. So you might need to adjust it up a touch compared to the last time. You might have loaded more stuff into your van this time. So it's heavier now. So you might want to just dial that up very slightly.
So these are quite smart now. We talked about some of these old ones, and they call them obviously smart controller. And essentially, gives a little bit of insight of what's actually going on in there
What's
now.
going on in there? So inside the TowPro Elite is a 3-axis accelerometer. So that's
How many?
Sorry, a what?
3-axis
A
accelerometer.
3-axis acceleromometer.
Yeah,
So
so
that's
that's
Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, so that's measuring force, or if you will, so deceleration, more to the point for the brake controller. So as you drive along and you hit the brakes and you decelerate, it'll proportionally apply the right power to your brakes in your van. So you might be decelerating and coming to a nice gentle stop. It knows this and will apply this much braking. If you need to be in a bit more of a heavy brake, you'll be decelerating a lot more, hence more braking to your trailer.
Is this unit actually almost constantly learning though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always refreshing itself, so it's always paying attention to what's happening. Every time the brake pedal is depressed and it gets the signal on the wire to tell it to turn on, it's remeasuring and recalculating that every time.
So if you were to put a different van on the back for whatever reason, I borrow Andrew's. I've got a 26-foot Queen Mary. Andrew
Queen
calls
Mary,
it.
I've called
it's
it,
a
yeah.
fairly large van. I run a smart controller. If I was to borrow Andrew's for,
17'6", smart, light, really good van.
it's going to adjust. It's going to work that out, isn't it?
Well, it won't actually, because it doesn't
Oh.
need to. You'll need to dial the knob up and down for
There you
different
go.
weights on the trailer. The unit itself calibrates to the vehicle that it's fitted into.
Right. It's the vehicle, not the car.
It's the vehicle, not the Caravan, which is a fairly common misconception. So people
Yeah.
might think it's for the van, but no. You can calibrate. You can have it calibrated into your vehicle without even having a van on, because it does it with the signal from the brake.
Because it's measuring your braking.
It's measuring the
as
braking
you're
force.
going, in fact, as you go through that installation or post-installation, it
That's
straight
right.
away starts learning.
It starts
doesn't
learning.
Yeah.
And what it does, the 3-axis accelerometer is so that you don't have to, for the installer, the auto electrician, that it's fitting it doesn't have to go, all right, I have to sit it here perfectly straight. You can fit it in any orientation you like, and it's going to learn. That's why it has the 3-axis accelerometer inside of it.
I do remember that when the older units, it'd come out with a little diagram of 30-degree angle, and you had to find somewhere under the dash
That's
that
right,
was
yeah.
within that 30-degree angle. So it wasn't always easy. These are fantastic now. You can pretty
much
much
better, yeah.
as you like.
I think the other thing is that these are not anti-sway devices.
No, that's right.
They assist if you ever do get into strife, but there are electronic stabilizer control units, etc.,
Yeah,
or
ESCs
sway
and
controls
DSCs
and
and
things
things, yep.
that do it. So I know that as things progress, I'm pretty sure that, say, with the Alco one, most of REDARC's newer versions of
Yep,
the
so
TowPro, that all
compatible-
is compatible,
compatible with ESC and
as
DSC.
are other ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's two versions of electronic stability, and it'll work with both of them.
Both of those, yes.
Yeah.
Right, that's
So-
the elite. We're talking the
Oh,
elite.
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
ESC.
ESC, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions? Or oh, yes,
Well,
ma'am.
let me grab the
Hang
mic
on.
for you.
Is that is
I recently had an experience with a B-double passing me when I was going on a slightly downhill and I was going very easy, probably sitting on 80, maybe 90. And the B-double, and next thing I had,
Trailer sway.
sway?
yeah, I knew not to panic, but I just gritted my teeth and held the thing. With these, do you actually apply the brake?
If you wanted to control that sway, you could not your foot brake in the car,
It's the dial.
the dial. You just press the knob in, and that'll
Just
apply
press it.
some
You don't have to turn it. Just press it.
Oh, okay.
And
Thank you.
that puts that tension between the two to
Yeah,
straighten
absolutely.
you
If you don't have a electronic sway control unit on your system, yeah, just do it. And that pulls your Caravan up, stops it from
back up.
swaying.
With the same situation that
Yeah.
Andrew had with
Yeah,
his
yeah,
multiple
absolutely.
slide system.
Yeah,
So basically, in some of the older units, you had a couple of sliders and knobs and bits. Essentially, it's all in just one little nice remote head. So you still got your amplification, I may call it that, but you've got the press button feature, which is that manual operation. Makes it so simple, all in one.
Oh, it does. You know, if you're in that situation and you've experienced it, I've experienced it,
Not a nice one,
and
no.
it's not good. It's not a nice experience at all. So if you can go, I don't want to fiddle around here. Just press a button, and you know, do you have to keep holding it?
Yeah, it's only going to be applying voltage to the brake coils while that knob is depressed. So you'll need to.
So don't just go press and then hang on to the wheel again.
Until the event is over,
Yeah.
hold it down. Until you're happy with the situation you're back into, you'll need to hold that down.
Now, it used to be 2.5 tonne, or 2,500 kilos, for what we would call driver-controlled braking, but it's now actually 2,000 kilos. I've put on there. So it's up from 750 up to 2,000. You can get away with override, but you can also fit electric brakes. You don't have to run override. So I mean, most people would suggest just straight away once you're over 750. Add on an electric, but that's what the difference is. It's driver controlled.
What do you mean override? What's an override braking system?
An override brake system is there's a couple of options. There's often one where you'll find the hitch assembly basically gets pushed back as you brake, so the Caravan basically catching up to the four-wheel drive when you brake.
Yep.
And as it does so, it pushes a lever, pulls the cables, or some are hydraulic, and it'll apply the brakes. But that override function is a delayed function. You've got to have the van catching up on the four-wheel drive in order to start having some effect. And sort of, it's almost too late.
A little bit.
Whereas the electric control means that it's straight away happening as soon as you touch that. In fact, often before the brakes are applying, the red light is already on in the van, and the brakes are already coming on in the Caravan. So it's actually preempting to some degree.
Correct.
It actually works even better than essentially just being electric brake control.
That's right. With the override, you don't have that emergency function that you would have required in that situation.
Yeah, so you're much better off. So it's really important. You've got to remember that you've got 2.5, 3 tonne of weight behind your vehicle. So that should be braking at the same time as your vehicle. So brakes on, well, I know normal brakes, but with a good controller as well.
That's
It
right,
makes sure that it's working properly. Yeah.
We actually had we actually had a lady here earlier. He said, I've got electric brakes. It's in my little trailer, and I can turn my knob, and it'll change the braking performance. But it was still in the trailer. It wasn't driver controlled, so it was still an override brake system. So just beware of that. It has to be in the car or the four-wheel drive to be driver controlled.
The driver needs to be able to control it, turn it up, turn it down, override, that sort of thing.
That's it.
Also, with the TowPro Elite, works with electric over hydraulic brakes. Many people might get them installed and not realise that they have electric over hydraulic brakes. There's a pump on electric over hydraulic brakes that do need its own individual power supply, not provided by the TowPro itself. So if you're getting a brake unit installed, I recommend seeing a specialist, a qualified auto electrician or a brake specialist like EBS or someone like that to get the brake controllers installed.
They're common on boats, I guess, aren't they? Because you don't
Yeah,
want
very
them to
common
breaks in
boats.
water.
No, they don't last too long.
Does anyone have any further questions? Oh, yes. Oh, Sonia. Oh, and that gentleman is asking. Hang on a sec. Yes, Sonia.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, something that you've actually spoken about a lot is 2 tonne, 2.5 tonne. Now you're actually referring to tonne as 1,000 kilograms, aren't you, rather than tonne as in weight? Is that correct?
No, tonne as in weight.
Okay.
Of a caravan I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is it,
Yeah.
So-
Okay. Because
So if your trailer, doesn't matter
The
what
trailer,
type of
the
trailer.
trailer's weight.
Box trailer,
Yeah.
car trailer, caravan. If it's
Yeah.
over 2 tonne,
Ton. Yeah.
I should say.
So
Still say
2,000
tonne.
kilograms.
Yeah. It's got to have,
A metric tonne.
yes.
metric tonne. Yeah, as opposed to as the
imperial.
old imperial. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
what I
just
was.
getting
Crikey,
old.
I'm 60. Leave me alone.
Now, we had another question, did we?
Hang on. No,
Sonia's
Sonia's still
Sonia's still
going.
going,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
And how does that work? What you were talking about, that was all on essentially road. Do you use it in exactly the same way if you're in, say, sand, mud, or gravel?
Yeah, so with the proportional, it will do that. We do have 2 modes in this unit. We have the automatic mode, which is the proportional mode for highway driving, and then we have a user-controlled mode. So that's the same sort of function that was in the previous model I spoke about. So basically, on the highway you can leave an automatic, even on dirt roads not too bad, because it will still be proportionally braking. But if you go up a big crusty mountain or something and you want to come down and have full control, you can do that with this. You simply change modes. The light will turn from blue to green, and then you can dial it up and have total control over the braking of the caravan, because you might be crawling at a very, very slow pace, so there's not a lot of deceleration there. So that way you have full control over the brakes. We've done it ourselves with our adventure off-road camper. We went up this big mountain and dragged the poor trailer up there with the old Hilux, and then on the way down, before we went down, changed modes, full control, sort of gently made our way down there, using the trailer brakes quite sufficiently.
Gentleman up the back still has a question. I'm not. Yeah. Oh, hold it nice and close, sir.
Yeah, we're just getting into the caravanning game, and I was just listening to you talk about the 2 difference between the brakes. Now, if my caravan, or if I bought a caravan with just hydraulic brakes, can this electric thing that you're talking about be fitted to it?
Yeah, that's right.
And how does it operate the brakes?
Yeah, it will work with your electric over hydraulic brakes, but like I was saying, you need to have that 12-volt feed for the pump to work.
Okay, but obviously the shoes are pushed out to apply the brakes. How does the electric pulse do that?
So it goes to the controller of the actual brake.
Oh, so you put
The
something
trailer
on the
brake.
wheels itself to operate the brakes out?
Yeah, it has the electric over hydraulic is a system on the trailer
Okay.
that interprets
All right.
the signal from there.
Any other questions? Chris is still explaining down the back there. No? All right. Hang on. Share what you're saying. Share what you're saying, folks. You guys are having your own little thing down the
Yeah,
back.
we're looking at buying a van.
Yep, hold
My
on.
wife will obviously look at the interior and everything, but I want to know the mechanics of the
Good
van.
man.
So, suspension, ball weight, its weight of the van, how it's going to stop me in an emergency situation.
Mm-hmm.
You can pretty much control them under a normal drive situation. So, if I buy a van with just hydraulics, I was interested in how that applies the brakes by overriding the hydraulics in an emergency situation. So I'd obviously press the button on the dash that you're saying, and that would override the hydraulics, would it?
No, it
Or they'd still come on at the same
it would
time.
just trigger the hydraulics
Yeah.
to do their job.
It's not overriding them, it's making them work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question,
Okay,
not for you.
good.
What was the 3-axis accelerometer?
Very good.
Yeah? What does that do? Does anyone, first hand up that can tell? Sir? You can mount it in any position, is that correct?
That's part of the function, yes.
Have you got a brake controller? Have you got a Tow Pro Elite? Oh, bugger. Do you want another one? There you go. Well done. 300 and something bucks worth, sir. There you go. You answered the question. Good on you.
Fantastic. We've actually got a couple other things to give away too. You got
Oh,
some
yeah?
more hard questions here, Andrew?
Yeah, hard questions. What do you do when your caravan starts to sway? What do you do when, sir? By a manual mode? Oh, apply manual mode. Apply. What you meant to say was, correct, apply your brake controller. That's it, that'll do. Questions? Help me out here, guys.
All right. I'm off.
You're off.
Can one of these new smart devices be wired up to an old device? Will it work?
Oh, if you've got one already.
No?
Oh, she said yes. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
Yep.
Well
You're
done.
right.
It's a magazine.
Oh, good. Excellent.
I've got a question.
Here's a question.
Should you wire up your brake controller yourself if you're not a qualified person?
Lady up the back? No.
Good work.
So we've had a yes and a no answer. Yeah, that's important, isn't it? While you're on that,
It's a safety device, so don't muck around.
don't ever muck around with brakes unless you're a qualified brake person.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. That's it.
Got
Yeah,
one more.
One more. All right. Who makes these great brake controllers? You win.
Well done. Enjoy
you know,
reading.
there's something. There's a variety of brake controllers on the market. I'm sorry, mate, but there are. The bonus that you guys have got, and I love, is the fact that you're South Australian. Buy Australian and do all that, and you're continually winning awards for advances in technology and moving forward and looking for things ahead to help us out on the road, which I think is just fantastic. Wave the Aussie flag, which is great,
That's right.
but
Yep.
locally here in South Australia and killing it on the market.
Yeah, that's right. We have a very unique situation of being able to manufacture in Australia, and that's with our extremely high quality standards that we use and adhere to. And it's great to be able to stand here and say, REDARC products Australian made.
Yep.
In Lonsdale, South Australia, where
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is great. But not only that, you've also been speaking to us about solar.
Yes,
and 12-volt. So anyone got any 12-volt solar questions? Straight off the top of your head? No? All right. Well, I'll ask. If I wanted to run... Well, you've got you here, mate. I may as well
No
finish
worries.
it off with that. Unprepared. But, how do I determine what I can run with my solar panel?
Okay, there is a bit of math involved, unfortunately.
Yep.
So you really need to assess what the loads that you're running out of your battery are equating to.
Right.
And then figure out how many hours you want to run those things for, and come up with your number.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need to look at your solar panel, and there's another maths equation for that one too. But
Or there's an easy way, isn't there?
there isn't a much easier way. You can go on the REDARC website and go on the solar calculator. And we got various different things to tell you your vehicle, if you're just a four-wheel drive or if you're a four-wheel drive in a caravan, what you want to run, what size is your battery bank, and it'll come out with an equation at the end and tell you, to run this, you might use this much power, you'll probably want to look at this much solar.
There you go. So many things involved with getting on the road correctly, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not only... You've actually got a few options of types of solar panels, which blows me away. It's not like you've got, this is it and this is all we got.
Yeah,
You've actually got a few different types.
Yeah, we do just fixed panels, which can be mounted onto vans or four-wheel drives and roof racks and things. Portable folding kits, which are a smaller fixed panel that you fold out. Solar blankets as well, so 2 different types of those, and a whole
amazing.
bunch of different solar regulators.
Folks, that's it for the day. That's it for the show. In fact, this is our last workshop, so thanks those folks that have come to just about every one of them.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
Thanks for the coffee.
Our cheer squad and the coffee and the kitchen of buns as well. That's thriving with stuff. So thank you very much, Steve Moore. Thank you very much
Thank you for
coming
having me.
along.
Cheers.
Chris
Thanks,
Blakemore,
Steve.
Andrew Kennedy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us, guys.